So as we all know by now, it is pandering season for the politicians. And oh my goodness, did I find a panderer to the wammens. The poor oppressed wammens. They need to vote for Ed Markey, United States Senator from the state of Massachusetts. Serving there since 2013. Before that, he was a representative for Congress, 7th Congressional District, from 1976. So since the age of 30, he has done nothing but be in the government. How many years would that be? Let's see. 43 years in the government, people. That's a mighty long time. He's running for election. I think he may be getting primaried. I'm not sure about that. I don't know much about Massachusetts politics, but we do know he is a radical pro-abort type. And let's see his campaign ad. Women's rights are not negotiable. Senator.
Today we celebrate the 47th anniversary.
Well, it depends. There's half the country that wouldn't be celebrating. But you go on ahead and celebrate.
Of Roe versus Wade.
Yeah. I thought it was January when that was passed, but okay, we'll take it as June something. Go on.
A landmark case that enshrined constitutional reproductive freedoms, including the right to an abortion.
Yeah. Not really enshrined, really stretched out the 14th Amendment to somehow include it. It was somehow in the shadows of the penumbras, of the dusty cracks of the Constitution in the 14th Amendment that, that's where they found it. Constitutional amendment was never passed. Voting, we never got to vote on it like they did in England. What the Supreme Court did was effectively remove the vote of the people, the will of the people in these several states under the 10th Amendment, which stated that if not specifically outlined in the Constitution, it is left up to the states or to the people. The 14th Amendment Roe versus Wade decision put it in the Constitution. Thus, the 10th Amendment does not apply. States cannot outlaw abortion anymore because it's a federal issue. What is your plan if Roe is overturned? What are you going to do as a senator, sir? You're going to draft a constitutional amendment, are you? It would probably pass. So you're going to do that. Is that the game plan? No? Not sure? Just pandering?
The abortion rights guaranteed in Roe increase safety, dignity, autonomy, and economic security for women across our country.
You mean women who were too stupid to use birth control and got knocked up and didn't want to take responsibility for the life they created? Is that right? How many million? 60 million? Lumps of cells have been eliminated since Roe.
While we expect the anniversary of Roe to bring many opportunities to lift up the importance of reproductive rights and abortion access.
Reproductive rights. Where are my reproductive rights as a man, Senator? I mean, do you even care about men? Honestly, I've been through many campaigns. I've been paying attention to this crap for 40 years. I do not recall one time there was a politician who came out and said, we need to do thus and such for men because men are disadvantaged in certain ways and it's not fair, it's not equal. Women have this right, men do not. That would not be equality. That would be an inequality against men. But it seems that if there is an inequality in favor of women over men, that's perfectly fine. For example, Roe, reproductive rights. Men do not have those. Senator Markey, do you know that? More importantly, do you give a shit?
We also expect these anti-choice politicians to continue their attacks on abortion rights in this country.
Well, there probably are anti-choice, as you say, politicians, but I think there are a lot of sort of middle-of-the-road people that say, look, we understand probably that abortion should be legal or will be legal. Let's put a time limit with exceptions for criminal activity or the life of the mother. Say 12 weeks. Just pick a number, 12. You mean to tell me that a woman who finds herself pregnant after 1 month, that gives her 2 months to decide if she wants to continue the pregnancy? That's not enough. That would be a restriction, the oppression of women. When in fact, if you look at polls, depending on the poll, and I know a lot of them are cherry-picked and whatever, but what I've been seeing is a majority of the country is not opposed to having a time limit. Do you even care?
The Trump administration is waging an all-out war on women's rights and reproductive freedom.
What would you care to point out a couple of things. And to his credit, he does. But what he's really talking about is this, was it the Mexico City decision or Mexico, where the United States was sending cash to governments overseas to fund abortion. Donald Trump said, that's not a good idea. We're not going to do that anymore. Oh my God, it's an attack on abortion rights for women in the United States. How exactly would that be an attack on the women in the United States? Curious.
From appointing Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court.
Well, maybe he just wanted to appoint people who would actually sort of follow the Constitution instead of taking it as a strong suggestion. Could that possibly be one of the reasons why?
To forcing Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers out of the Title X program.
They chose to get out of it because Trump changed the rules so that if you perform abortions or various other things like that, you're out. You don't get Title X money. Now, the thing that really rubs me the wrong way, Senator, on this one, why do you keep acting that the only provider of female health services, reproductive care, birth control, pap smears, breast exams, and all is Planned Parenthood? Are there no women's clinics anywhere except for Planned Parenthood? Those clinics are taking up the slack. Is there no CVS for a woman who has Title X money to get her birth control pill? No Walgreens, no Walmart, no. Only Planned Parenthood could provide these services to poor women. Is that what we're to believe? Or is it just easier to get one campaign donation from a big organization? I know.
It is more important now than ever that we stand together.
Yes, and what are we going to stand together for?
To protect reproductive freedoms for everyone.
You see, to protect reproductive freedoms for everyone, Senator Markey, men do not have reproductive rights in the United States. The only thing we can do to avoid becoming a parent is not have sex or hope and pray to God that the forms of birth control we use work. That's it. That's not reproductive rights. That's reproductive responsibilities if all goes south. And she wants to have a baby. And even if we don't want to become a father, we are forced to by the government. What is it women and fists say about my body, my choice? Keep the government out of my bedroom. You cannot force me to become a mother and so on. But it's perfectly fine for the government to force men to become fathers against their will. Are we going to do anything to level that playing field someday? Where maybe a man can sign away his parental rights if she wants to have the baby and have that's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
This fight is about equality and saying once and for all.
No, it's not. Because if the fight was about equality, women would be denied something that men enjoy under the law, under the Constitution. Men would have an advantage over women that would be unequal. And so we would have to address that inequality by doing something. In this case, the equality is in favor of women. Men do not have equality with women. So this fight is not about equality. Bullshit. But no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about equality because if something exceeds parity in favor of women, that's perfectly fine. That is now known as equality. Is that right, Senator Markey?
That women's rights are not negotiable.
What about men's rights? Do we have any with respect to reproduction, with divorce laws, courts? No, not going to do anything about that either, are you?
They cannot and will not be violated.
Okay, well, what if Roe is overturned? Constitutional amendment? Is that what you're going to do?
We know the forces of sexism and discrimination.
Sexism and discrimination. Women's are oppressed. Is that the message?
Will not back down from enacting their anti-freedom agenda.
What would that be? Would you like to point it out just a little bit? Except Donald Trump is evil. That's the anti-freedom agenda that you're talking about, perhaps. No specifics, no concrete things that Trump is doing to take away freedom. Nothing, just an amorphous blob of hatred. Is that about right?
But I also know we won't back down from fighting it.
Oh, that's good. That's fantastic. Vote for me. Vote for me.
Not in the courts, not in the streets, and not in the Senate.
What are you going to do if Roe is overturned? Promise something to the women if Roe is overturned in the Supreme Court. What would that be? Constitutional amendment, that's the only thing. Because if it isn't in the Constitution, it goes back to the 10th Amendment and to the states. As you well know, as a senator and politician for the last 43 years.
I will fight every day for the rights of women.
Can you imagine if you would? Some people don't have a career that lasts 43 years, and this guy still wants to go back for another 6 years in the Senate. We're going to fight for the right for women to make their own decisions with their bodies. And well, what about men? Anything, throw us a bone, something. I mean, yeah, you were talking about people of color, male people of color, but never nothing about white dudes. Even though white dudes support, 25% of the country supports you. Not a thing. It's all about the women. Senator Markey, may I remind you of a man who ran for Senate in Colorado? Mark Udall, also known as Mark Uterus. You know why he got that nickname, Senator? Because he concentrated so much on the very things you are discussing right now. Even his own party got sick of it. He talked about no other issue but, and he didn't win.
To make their own decisions.
Yeah.
As we celebrate this anniversary,
I'm not celebrating, but go on.
I am recommitting myself to the fight to protect Roe and ensure health care for everyone.
Okay, Roe and health care for everyone. Obamacare, or you mean reproductive health care for women only? Is that kind of what the code wording is there, Senator Markey? Be curious to know.
I look forward to fighting beside you each and every day.
Unless you're a white man, then go f*** yourself, because I don't care about you. Would that be a fair summary of your position on men's rights? In the ballpark?
To make sure that those rights are protected.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't want any inequalities to exist between men and women, would we, Senator Markey? I'll put the link below so you can listen to the entire thing by yourself. James Maxwell, thank you for listening.